Hello everybody, welcome back to the layout. It's time for a new project, and what I will be doing next is the modeling of the water in the lake. So I had a go at that already in video 23, and so the plan is to apply the same technique now on the whole lake. And that will then hopefully look something like this. So I want to model the water for the entire lake in one go. But as I have explained, I will be modeling a lift bridge here. And that means that before I can model the water, I need to have at least the basis for this lift bridge in place. So that's what I will be doing first. So those will be made from blocks of this blue polystyrene foam, which I will cut out with the foam cutter. Here are the two blocks of foam that I will be using for the base of the lift bridge. And as you can see, the first one I've clamped in between these battens. And by doing it in this way, I'm able to cut off a nice and square and orthogonal blocks of foam, so that the base or the bases of the lift bridge on either side will be nice and square. These are the blocks that I've cut out and that will form the basis for the lift bridge. So if I zoom in, you can see that I have also modeled a couple of fractures in these blocks. And these blocks will then be placed like this. And that will then give me a passage which is 15 centimeter in width. You may have noticed that this block is not entirely rectangular, so it's a bit wider on this side than it is on this side. And the reason for that is that the opening here is a bit wider than it is on this side. And so in order to get a constant passage here of 15 centimeters, I had to cut it like that. So that's the reason why. Alright, so these are the blocks painted and weathered. So as you can see, I've added some streaks of rust. So I'll glue this in place now. Ready to start modeling the water. As you can see, I've laid down pieces of toilet paper already. And the plan is to follow the same procedure as I illustrated in video 23. So I'm going to soak the toilet paper into a mixture of diluted wood glue. And I'll use these brushes here to spread it all out and to make an even surface. I put some painter's tape on here, and that is because the water should not be attached to these blocks here because of the hatch which is here. So I have to keep that detached from each other. So if I get this stuck to the painter's tape, I can just pull the painter's tape off, and then everything should be fine. Okay, so this is the first half of the lake done. I brushed it all out, and I left a whole bunch of ripples. So I'm not modeling high waves, but just ripples. And that is the entire lake done, at least the base layer with toilet paper. So this part I've brushed out as well, again leaving ripples or smaller waves, whatever you want to call them. And now I'll have to let this dry for, I think, at least a day, maybe 2 days, maybe even longer. I don't know, we'll see. So the toilet paper has dried. It took at least 2 days to fully dry. And what I've done next is I've given it a coat of wood glue. This time not diluted, so 100% wood glue. And I don't know if you can see it, but the idea is to at least make it a bit, make the surface a bit smoother. And so when this is dry, I will paint it, and then several layers of varnish will have to be added. So I'll let this dry for 1 or 2 days, and then I'll paint it. Alright, so everything is dried, so the toilet paper is dry, as well as the layer of wood glue that I put on top of it. So the ripples are still there, obviously, but the wood glue made it a really smooth surface as such. So I think that's going to form a very good basis for the painting. And so that's the next step, the painting. So here you see my preparation with the different colors that I'm going to use. So first of all, I'm going to use, I'm going to mix a light brownish color that will go on the sides as an indication of shallow water. And then towards the middle I'll be using different shades of green, which I will make by mixing in white. And the greens that I'm using are these two green colors. So it's permanent green and it's phthalo green. So I've painted the sides with a light brown color. Also on this side. But when I paint the water, you will not see a lot of this afterwards. And that I can show you over there. So I've painted the water on this side already. And so it's actually not really painting, it's just dabbing on paint. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm putting it on quite thick. And there you can see, you just see a little bit of the brown, but not a lot. There as well. And so the effect is that The somewhat shallower water towards the sides is lighter in color, and then in the middle the water is really deep, and so you get this really dark effect. So it's just putting on dabs of paint, and I'm mixing it both here on this cardboard, but I'm also mixing it here. So it's really just dabbing so that you get this textured effect. So if I zoom in like this, you can see it's greenish, but it has a bluish tint. So I think this looks quite nice. Okay, just showing you how I'm dabbing on the paint. So as you can see, I've done another piece already, and now continuing over this way. So you can clearly see the color difference, and that's because now I've only used one color of green, and so now I will be dabbing on the phthalo green like this, so that will go all the way in the middle, and then I will be mixing it with, and I'll be putting in white on the sides and black, a little bit of black in the middle. So that's the way I'm doing this. So now I have also added a little bit of black, as you can see. And so I will bring all of this together now and also start adding the white on the sides. And that is the entire lake painted with the water effect. I'm quite happy with this result. I think it looks really good. So I'm going to let this dry now for a couple of days, and then I'll start adding layers of varnish. Alright, so this is what it looks like after the first layer of varnish. That turned out pretty good. And what was really key here was that I put on a really thin layer. And so that worked out quite well. So the next thing I want to do is give the water a bit more depth, and I want to achieve that by adding a layer of wood glue. So undiluted 100% wood glue. So that is the entire water done with a layer of wood glue. So I'll let that dry now for a couple of days. So the layer of 100% wood glue has dried. I've let it dry for about 10 days. And it worked out reasonably well. There are certain areas where maybe just slightly too much wood glue has been applied. So for example, this area here got a little bit too much, but I must also say that on the video it looks a lot worse than in reality. So I think it's okay. And so now I've already started applying layers of varnish. So on this half I've just applied the second layer of varnish. I'll let it dry, and see if maybe a third layer is needed or not. Okay, so the water is finished. I have 2 layers of varnish now on all of it. And to be honest, I'm sort of happy with the result, but not 100%. There are a few spots where the varnish didn't work out quite well. So for example, in this area you can see that it didn't dry exactly as I wanted. I must also say that on the video like this it looks much worse than in reality. If I zoom out, you see you get quite a different picture. But all in all it's okay. But maybe the next time I would use maybe a better quality varnish. I don't know what the reason is why it turned out like that. Regarding the spots that didn't turn out exactly as I wanted, I'm not sure if I want to do anything about it. I might model some white foam on top of the ripples, sort of to mask the areas that didn't work out quite well. But I'm not convinced whether I want to do that. I think from a distance like this it actually looks quite realistic, and so for now I'm going to leave it like this. The other thing I also wanted to show you is that I can still open the hatch, as you can see. So that worked out really well. Happy with that.